she said. "If you don't propose by Valentine's Day, I'll go back to my ex." I replied, "That's fair." Then on Valentine's Day, I took her to a nice dinner and broke up with her between appetizers and main course. When the waiter brought out the dessert, she pre-ordered that said, "Say yes." Want to know how I dodged a bullet? Literally, by sitting down to a fancy dinner and standing up a single man. Best $147 I ever spent. I 32M dated Kimberly 29F for 2 years. Looking back, there were enough red flags to decorate a Communist Party convention, but hindsight is 20/20 and all that. First things first, Kimberly was gorgeous, like turn heads when she walks in gorgeous. She was also smart, marketing executive, funny when she wanted to be, and cultured, knew which fork to use for salad, which I'm still not sure about. But she had this intensity, the kind where you're never quite sure if she's about to kiss you or tee your car. We met at my cousin's wedding. She was a friend of the bride. I was a reluctant groomsman. 3 vodka sodas in. We were making out behind the photo booth. By the end of the night, we were inseparable. Classic rom-com start, right? The first year was pretty great. Weekend trips, inside jokes, great sex, the works. She'd even laugh at my terrible puns, which no woman had ever done before since. But somewhere around the 13-month mark, things started to shift. She began dropping marriage hints. Subtle at first, stopping to look at rings when we passed jewelry stores, tagging me in Instagram posts about perfect proposals, casually mentioning which of her friends were getting engaged. Then not so subtle, leaving bridal magazines at my place when she'd stay over, talking about what our kids might look like, asking my opinion on various wedding venues just hypothetically. For context, we never officially moved in together. I had my apartment, she had hers, but we spent most nights at one place or the other. I kept a drawer and some basics at her place. She had the same at mine. It was a comfortable arrangement until it wasn't. I wasn't against marriage in theory. I just wasn't sure if Kimberly was the one. Something felt off. But every time I tried to have a conversation about taking things slow, she'd either burst into tears or get so angry the neighbors probably considered calling the police. Then she'd be perfectly fine the next day, like nothing had happened. Classic intermittent reinforcement. I'm no psychologist, but I've dated enough to recognize the pattern. The ultimatum came exactly 6 weeks before Valentine's Day, over dinner at my place. I'd made my specialty. Mediocre spaghetti with sauce from a jar that I doctored up enough to pretend it was homemade. So she said, twirling pasta around her fork with surgical precision. I was thinking about Valentine's Day. Already. It's still January, I replied, oblivious to the trap I was walking into. Well, I think it would be the perfect day for a proposal, don't you? Romantic, traditional. My parents got engaged on Valentine's Day. I nearly choked on my garlic bread. Ah, that's not really something I've thought about. Her smile remained fixed, but her eyes went cold. Well, you should start thinking about it, because if you don't propose to me by Valentine's Day, I'm going back to Michael. Michael, her ex. The successful real estate developer she dated before me, who apparently still texted her regularly, a fact she never failed to mention whenever she was upset with me. "You're giving me an ultimatum?" I asked, genuinely stunned. "I'm being efficient," she replied. "I'm almost 30. I don't have time to waste on a relationship that isn't going anywhere. Michael is ready to commit. Are you?" I stared at her for a long moment. "That's fair," I finally said. She seemed surprised by my calm response, but pleased. "Good," she said, and went back to her spaghetti like she hadn't just put a gun to our relationship's head. That night, while she slept beside me, I lay awake thinking. Not about rings or proposals, but about the fact that she was willing to jump from my bed to Michael's, based on whether I produced a diamond by an arbitrary deadline, about how I felt more trapped than loved, about how the thought of spending my life with someone who operated on ultimatums made me break out in a cold sweat. Over the next few weeks, Kimberly was happier than I'd seen her in months. She assumed my "that's fair" meant I was on board with the proposal plan. She started getting her nails done more frequently, just in case today's the day, and left her ring size written on a post-it stuck to my bathroom mirror. Meanwhile, I was making plans of my own. I booked a table at Maison Laurent, a nice French bistro in the city. Not the fanciest place in town, but certainly upscale enough for a memorable night out. The kind of place where the candles are real and the wait staff actually pronounce the specials correctly. Kimberly had mentioned it a few times as somewhere she'd like to try. I also started strategically removing my belongings from her apartment. Nothing obvious. She wouldn't notice a few books missing. Or that half my drawer was emptier than usual, especially since she'd been staying at my place more often that month. I changed all my passwords. I made sure my name wasn't on any of her accounts. Valentine's Day arrived. Kimberly spent the day at a spa getting proposal ready. Her words via text. I picked her up at 7 and she looked stunning in a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. Her expression when we pulled up to Maison Laurent was one of pleased surprise. "You remembered I wanted to try this place," she whispered, squeezing my arm as the valet took my car. "Of course," I replied. I'd also remembered to bring only one car. Strategic. The hostess showed us to a table near the window. I'd requested a quiet spot when making the reservation, and they delivered. Kimberly's eyes lit up at the single rose in a vase at the center of the table. "This is perfect," she said, looking around with anticipation, probably scanning for hidden photographers or musicians, or whatever grand gesture she'd been fantasizing about. "It's a special night," I replied, and it wasn't even a lie. We ordered drinks, then appetizers. Kimberly chose some kind of deconstructed capper salad that cost $14 and was mostly artful balsamic drizzle. I had the French onion soup, partly because I'd always loved it, and partly because I figured a warm, comforting dish might make what was coming next marginally easier. The conversation was strained. Kimberly kept glancing at my jacket pocket, probably searching for a ring-sized bulge. I kept checking my watch, calculating how much longer I needed to maintain the carried. After the appetizers, when there was a lull in the conversation, I reached across the table and took her hand. "Kimberly," I said softly. Her face lit up. This was it, the moment she'd been waiting for. "These past 2 years have made me realize something important," I continued. She was already tearing up. Poor thing thought she was getting a proposal. "I don't want to marry you, not on Valentine's Day, not ever. We're done." Her expression froze, then crumpled, then hardened. "What? You gave me an ultimatum, proposed by Valentine's Day or you go back to Michael. I'm choosing option 3, I walk away." "Is this a joke?" she hissed, gripping her wine glass so tightly I thought it might shatter. "No joke, I've had weeks to think about it. Someone who truly loved me wouldn't threaten to leave if I didn't put a ring on their finger by an arbitrary deadline. That's not love, it's coercion." Her face was cycling through emotions faster than a slot machine. "You bastard," she finally said, voice trembling. "You brought me to a nice restaurant on Valentine's Day to break up with me. I figured if you were going to force my hand, I might as well make it memorable." She looked around wildly, suddenly aware that people at nearby tables were starting to glance our way. "I can't believe you're doing this to me in public on Valentine's Day. Would you have preferred I did it at home, so you could throw things at me, or at your place where you could refuse to let me leave? I know you, Kimberly, this was the safest option for everyone. You planned this," she said, realization dawning, all of it. I nodded. "I did, just like you planned your ultimatum." She started to stand up, probably to storm out when a waiter appeared tableside. "Your main courses will be out shortly," he said, refilling our water glasses. "And Miss Palmer, the dessert you ordered when you confirmed the reservation this morning has been prepared." I raised an eyebrow at Kimberly, who had gone very still. "I don't think we'll be needing that," she said quickly. The waiter looked confused. "But it's already prepared," the pastry chef added the special message as requested. Now I was curious, what special message? The waiter looked uncomfortable, glancing between us. "It's a chocolate cake with, say yes, written in frosting." Oh God, she'd added a custom dessert when confirming our reservation this morning. She'd been so certain of a proposal that she'd arranged her own celebratory cake. "Bring it," I said, ignoring Kimberly's horrified expression. But she started, "I insist, I've paid for this dinner, I might as well see it through to the end." The waiter, now sensing the tension, backed away towards the kitchen. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" Kimberly whispered furiously. "A little bit, yeah, you've been manipulating me for months. Turnabout is fair play." "I'm leaving," she announced, grabbing her purse. "That's your prerogative, but it's 28 degrees outside and you didn't bring a car. Also, your coat is at the check and our food is almost here." She sat back down, defeated by logistics. We sat in excruciating silence until the main course has arrived. Kimberly stared at her $27 salmon like it had personally betrayed her. I ate my steak fritsies with genuine enthusiasm. Nothing improves the taste of a good steak like the knowledge that you've just escaped a bullet. Finally, the moment arrived. The waiter returned, looking distinctly uncomfortable, carrying a small chocolate cake on a plate. As he placed it on the table, I could clearly see the message written in white frosting. "Say yes." The other diners nearby noticed the cake, but politely pretended not to observe the obvious tension at our table. I said, examining the dessert. "Seems a bit presumptuous, doesn't it?" The waiter, eager to escape, asked if we needed anything else. When we shook our heads, he retreated quickly. Kimberly leaned across the table. "I hate you," she whispered. "That's fair," I replied, echoing my response to her ultimatum. "But you know what's not fair? Trying to force someone into marriage by threatening to leave them for an ex. That's not love, Kim. That's not even close." Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, read something, then looked back at me with narrowed eyes. "It's Michael. Want me to tell him I'm available now?" "Go for it, you two deserve each other." I signaled for the check and the waiter brought it promptly. I handed him my credit card without looking at the total. The bill came to $147, including tip, expensive for a normal dinner, but a bargain for the life lesson. As we waited for him to return, Kimberly fixed her makeup in a compact mirror, transforming back into the polished, perfect woman I'd arrived with. "You know," she said, snapping the compact shut, "you could have just said no to my ultimatum weeks ago, saved us both the time and embarrassment." I shook my head. "Would you have accepted that? Or would you have cried, threatened, manipulated until I gave in? Be honest." She didn't answer, which was answer enough. The waiter returned with my card and the receipt. I signed it, leaving a generous tip. The staff had endured enough drama for one night. "Your car, sir?" the hostess asked as we approached the exit. "Yes, please," I replied, then turned to Kimberly. "Do you want me to drop you somewhere?" She glared at me while typing on her phone. "I'm ordering an Uber. It'll be here in 4 minutes." "All right, I'll wait with you until it arrives." "Don't bother," she snapped, but I stood with her anyway. February in our city was too cold to leave anyone standing alone outside, even Kimberly. When her Uber pulled up, she gave me one last withering look. "You'll regret this." "Goodbye, Kimberly," I said simply and watched her go. Then I got in my car and drove home, feeling lighter than I had in months. The fallout was about what you'd expect. Kimberly told our mutual friends that I'd humiliated her, led her on, wasted 2 years of her life. Some believed her. Most saw through it, especially when she started dating Michael again within a couple of weeks. She also sent me a Venmo request for $200 with the note, "Ring deposit non-refundable." Apparently she'd put money down on an engagement ring she was convinced I'd be buying. I declined the request and blocked her on Venmo and every other platform. It's been 6 months since that Valentine's Day. I'm single but not looking, taking time to figure out how I missed so many red flags for so long, and why a part of me still misses her sometimes, despite everything. The heart is a strange and stubborn organ, but you know what? I don't regret a thing. Not the breakup, not the way I did it, not even the $147 dinner, because there's only one thing more expensive than leaving a toxic relationship, and that's staying in it. Oh, and in case you're wondering, Michael and Kimberly got engaged last month after dating again for about 5 months. Their wedding is set for Valentine's Day next year. Poor bastard doesn't stand a chance. Edit, whoa, didn't expect this many responses. Thanks for the comments and awards. Just want to clarify a few things that keep coming up. 1. Yes, I know public breakups are usually a dick move, but this was a controlled environment with minimal audience. and given her history of volatile reactions, it felt like the safest option. She once threw my PlayStation 5 controller across the room because I was paying more attention to Hogwarts Legacy than to her. Another time, she refused to let me leave her apartment during an argument and blocked the door for 2 hours. So yeah, public breakup was a strategic choice, not just petty revenge. 2. No, I'm not planning to attend their wedding, though several friends have suggested I RSVP with a picture of a cake that says I said no. 3. Several people asked if she was worth it for the 2 years. Physically, yes. Emotionally, hell no. Not even close. The sex doesn't outweigh the scars. 4. And for those saying I'm the asshole for wasting her time when she was clearly ready for marriage, when someone gives you an ultimatum to propose or they'll go back to their ex, they're not ready for marriage. They're ready for a hostage situation with paperwork. 5. For those wondering why I didn't just break up with her when she gave the ultimatum, I was genuinely shocked and needed time to process. I also knew from past experience that an immediate rejection would lead to tears, bargaining, and more manipulation. The restaurant setting allowed for a clean break. Update: 8 months later. Well, this is unexpected. I was going to let this story fade into Reddit oblivion, but something happened yesterday that I thought you all might appreciate. I was at my friend Jack's birthday dinner at a casual restaurant downtown when I spotted Michael at the bar. Alone. When he saw me, instead of avoiding eye contact, he actually came over to our table. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" he asked. I excused myself from my friends and we stepped away to a quiet corner. Long story short, he called off the engagement to Kimberly about a month ago. Turns out she pulled the exact same ultimatum stunt on him that she tried with me, except this time, it was either we move the wedding up from Valentine's Day to December or I'm calling my co-worker Steve. Apparently there's always another guy in the wings. The breaking point. He overheard her on the phone with a custom bakery discussing a wedding cake with "finally locked down" written on it in red icing. Not "true love prevails" or "forever begins," or any normal wedding cake message, "finally locked down." "I should have listened when you warned the group chat about her," he said, ordering a beer for himself and offering me one, which I declined since I was driving. "But I thought you were just bitter." To be fair, I was definitely bitter, I admitted. We ended up talking for about 20 minutes. He's actually not a bad guy, successful yes, but not the arrogant douche I'd imagined. Just another victim of Kimberly's particular brand of emotional terrorism. The real kicker, after he broke it off, she apparently tried to contact me through a mutual friend to reconnect and heal. I never responded because I still have her blocked on everything, but according to Michael, she told him that I had been begging for another chance and that she was torn between 2 loves. The mutual friend later confirmed that Kimberly had indeed asked for my number, but the begging part was complete fiction. In fact, the friend had explicitly told her I wasn't interested. So that's where we are now. Kimberly is apparently telling people I'm stalking her. I'm not. Michael is moving to Seattle for work and I'm still enjoying my drama-free existence. Though I will say, I haven't been back to Mason Lawrence since that night. Some places are better left as memories. Life is weird, folks, but at least it's not boring. Final update: 1 year later, this will be my last update on the Valentine's Day cake saga. I'm happy to report that I am now in a healthy relationship with someone who has never once threatened to leave me for an ex. Her name is Qley. She's a veterinarian. And when I explained this whole story to her on our 3rd date, she laughed so hard she snorted wine through her nose. Teeper. As for Kimberly, I've heard through the grapevine that she's now engaged to husband number 3. She was briefly married in her early 20s, something I only learned post-breakup. Apparently, this one is a surgeon, and they met when she twisted her ankle, coming down the stairs at her apartment building the week after Michael moved away. Drama follows her like a shadow. Michael and I exchange texts occasionally. He's dating a nice, normal woman who doesn't make him walk on eggshells or demand proposals via pastry. Last Valentine's Day, Qley and I stayed home, ordered pizza and watched bad movies. It was perfect. No ultimatums, no cakes with messages, no emotional blackmail. Just two people who like being together without needing to force it. Sometimes I think about how close I came to being trapped in a marriage with someone who viewed relationships as competitions to be won, rather than partnerships to be nurtured. That $147 dinner was the best investment I've ever made in my own happiness. To anyone out there facing similar ultimatums, whether they're about marriage, children, career choices, whatever, remember this. Someone who truly loves you won't try to force your hand. They'll walk beside you, not drag you forward or push you back, and they definitely won't order passive-aggressive desserts behind your back. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. This case is officially closed.